Well, my hair's messed up and I'm like half shaven, but I don't care. You know, with all the stuff going on right now, I just read about another squabble and between independent media people, political commentators and activists, stuff like that. It with everything that's going on right now, and I'm not putting blame on any person in particular, but this is ridiculous. You know, I know I've probably rubbed people the wrong way here and there with some of my views, and probably some of the people would think I'm sitting on the fence or something like that. Well, I kind of have a hot or cold way of looking at things. The reason why I'm so forgiving is because of how brutal I can be when I'm not forgiving. So it takes a lot for you to get in that particular area. How are people still getting in little fracases with everything that's going on right now? How's this happening? I can't figure this out. You got a group of people supposed to be friends and supposed to be working together. How in the name of God are you getting broken up over this or that? With things, what's going on over in you know, with what Israel is doing, with the ICE situation, with the Epstein files, and you're getting in some little squabble about some kind of bullshit. Grow up, seriously. And you know, I don't really have much to lose right now. At the time of doing this, I got 38 followers. I don't get a lot of views. Hoping I will. But what you're not going to get from me, I'll correct myself. I'm not always going to be right. But I'm never going to be fake. I'm never going to be pretentious. And that's not an accusation towards them. I'm telling you up front how I feel. It's the reason why I don't put titles on myself. You know, I may call myself somewhat of a leftist here and there. I call myself a libertarian here and there. It's because I don't know exactly what I am. Okay? I don't really worry about it. I don't care about the stupid friggin' title. People are, boy, they love that title these days. And I don't mean just the Republican and Democrat thing. I guess it's like a carryover from that. They love their little titles. I don't give a damn about the title. I don't. I care about what I believe. I don't care what it flies under this heading, under that heading. Oh, this is Marxist. Oh, this is libertarian. I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's a belief. That's it. As a matter of fact, a lot of those titles put people off because that's the way they've been taught. Another thing you're not going to see out of me is, and I admit I haven't always been this way, and I'm probably a little bit older than a lot of the people that do this. I'm not going to drop somebody for some disagreement. I've had to learn. Sadly, some of the things that recently I've had to learn this. You know, you keep finding out things about people that you, not just activists and political commentators and people like that, but, you know, actors and actresses and comedians and musicians and things like that. You end up finding out things about them that aren't good. And sometimes you just got to, at least with the things that are a little bit less serious, don't believe something bad on them until you know. There's a lot of hearsay goes around, a lot of rumors, especially after somebody dies. But sometimes you got to take people for what they are. Believe it, don't believe it until you actually know. There's good reason. And sometimes it can just be a strong feeling. And just take the good with the bad. You know, I'm sure I've watched plenty of movies where I like the movie and I end up finding something bad about one of the actors there. Well, do I trash that movie or I still enjoy it? Life's short. You know, enjoy what you can out of it. I mean, I'm sure if there's people that can somehow still watch Bill Cosby after knowing what the stuff he did, good for them if they can do it. I can't. I believed in him as long as I could because I'd heard people tell lies like that before. I had. A lot of people got mad at me because I didn't immediately believe that. And there's some other people I didn't immediately believe that on. Well, it's because I had seen people be falsely accused. For a fact, trust me, falsely accused. And you think you know one person and you don't. So I believed as long as I could, and when I found out that, beyond any more doubt, that he did what he did, I immediately took every item that I had of his that I owned out back, destroyed it, and burned it. I'm not wrong for doing that. And I don't necessarily think you're wrong if you can manage to get some sort of joy out of it still. Life's short. You know, what if you're wandering out in the woods about to freeze to death and you find a shack, but the shack was built by a pedophile or something? Probably shouldn't have said that. Oh, well, I didn't get a lot of views anyway. But anyway, it's built by some sort of predator. What do? Stay outside and freeze to death or use it? So that's what I suggest. I mean, that's a more serious situation, but you got people that are your friends. And I've had to learn this too, being in a red state. You know, I'm hard on political people, but not necessarily the voters. And it's because they've done this a long time about manipulating people, fooling people. It's no surprise that people fall for it. I've seen a lot of nice people with red hats on their heads. It is what it is. I don't understand how a good person could be involved in that, and hopefully they're not now. It's going to get harder and harder for them to stay being a good person and support. It should be beyond it right now. A lot of them are in denial. But at some point, they're just not going to be able to hang on anymore. Or they're going to have to give up who they are. But that's a more serious situation. You got people that are almost the same political persuasion, fighting tooth and nail. It's weird. It's weird. And I have to think, and I actually feel bad about this because I oftentimes feel like I have too big of an ego. But I think ego has got something to do with it. I think in a manner of speaking, you can get kind of a big head about this sort of thing. Maybe you can. I don't know. As I'm getting older, I'm getting more accepting and trying to get along with people, being a little bit more diplomatic, and kind of hope they sort of... Sometimes you got to have faith in people that they'll sort of find their way. And a lot of times they do. They're good people if they deserved your faith in the first place. If not, maybe that was your mistake. But then again, you know, how long did it take you? Were you always right? You know, I'm more tolerant. A lot of people like with the whole Epstein thing and this and that. If people don't believe exactly what they believe about it, you know, if anybody has their name in there in any capacity at all, then they believe the absolute worst about him. Well, I'm going to wait and see what I see. It's definitely a bad sign. But I know how these things work. You know, it's a lot easier if they get some people in there that didn't necessarily do anything. Those people can realistically feign innocence and make the whole situation look innocent because they didn't do anything, that they shouldn't have been there. And that's a problem. So I'm not saying that they're innocent on that, but people got to quit being so extreme. They really do. I mean, how many more different divisions do we need? And right now, whether you be, you know, leftist or libertarian or whatever, the establishment is struggling. Why do you think we keep seeing these decrepit mummies up here in the presidential position and high-ranked political positions? They're running out of people. And even with their younger people, they step all over themselves. You know, Kamala Harris isn't real young, but she can't rub two thoughts together. She's a mess. And Vance seems sophisticated, but he keeps stepping on his own feet. Obviously. They're getting to be in a bad way, in a worse way. And people talk about these generations. These younger people, they're actually with it more often than not. I'm saying that with music. I'm saying that with all kinds of things. They're better off than mine. I can tell you that much. A lot of people are thrilled about the, millennials and Generation X. I can tell you at least part of Generation X and part of millennials in my region, useless. There's exceptions. I don't consider myself to be useless, and some of my favorite people are born in that age range. But there's a lot of useless people, and you see these. I mean, you can scroll through Instagram or something like that. Look at these young people playing guitar and singing, and got their political views that actually kind of make some sense. They care about people. They're good people. They're very smart for their age, very mature. I think we're in good hands. And, as the saying goes, the kids are all right. I think they're doing pretty good. But I think we need to quit having all these divisions. I mean, we should be getting, I'm starting to question people who are being divisive now. If I start seeing people who were divisive and they're actually trying to mend fences as best they can, doesn't mean you completely let it go what somebody said or did to you. I'm not saying that. But this is not the time for this nonsense. Seriously. It's like I would actually love to see, Jimmy Dore and the Young Turks. If you're watching, if you know who they are. I'd like to see them mend fences. I don't have a lot of faith in the Young Turks, but, they've got a lot to atone for. But if something like that could get mended, and it's on them. It's on them. They did the worst stuff. But if somehow that could get addressed, that could get fixed. I think at some point you got to ask yourself, how much does fixing what's going on right now, saving lives, how much does it actually matter to you versus your little quarrels? And I'm not saying that none of them are justified. Some of them are. But if you care enough, you get over it. I guess it's easy for me to say, but at the same time, I might potentially do better if I were to take one side and sort of ride somebody's coattails. Most of what I end up doing is pissing everybody off. Fine, you know what you got from the start. I don't disappoint you. This is who I am. I'm not going to, make you like me and then get to a certain position and just switch over to something else and disappoint you. Who I am now is who I'm going to be with 38 million followers, if that ever happens. What you see is what you get. And I'll talk to anyone. I'm a lot more negative on social media than I am here. I try to clean my act up a little bit here. I've already said some YouTube buzzwords. But we got to stop this. I know it's easy to say when I'm not personally involved in it, but this divisiveness, kicking people aside, breaking stuff up, I'm sorry, it needs to be gotten over. It needs to be gotten over. And if you're for everything being split up, then you just need to go somewhere by yourself because you're useless. You're part of the problem. If somebody you've quarreled with that's valuable towards some sort of movement to make things better is willing to kind of have their hat in their hands and come back to you and say, hey, let's fix this, and then you won't, then you're the problem. It doesn't deserve to be fixed. Now, granted, in some situations that's more serious than others. In the situation of the Young Turks, they said more than they should have. It's hard to walk some of that back without making yourself look bad. Kind of feel sorry for them in a way. But this is bigger than that. And I'm not gonna play a part in that. I'll more than likely meet you in a ring somewhere, or somebody's backyard roped off. Then I don't know if you call that cancel culture or not, because I'm not 100% against. There's some things that I would do that people might call cancel culture. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. If you got some awful person tormenting people online, they have a business, hey, Somebody happens to find out about their business. It is what it is. You're making somebody's life miserable online, and somebody happens to find out where you work. Tough situation for you. But if it's just some kind of disagreement, somebody's not a horrible person, my God, get over it. Have you don't remember the Gaza pictures, the children? Epstein files are pretty recent. You remember reading those? And you're griping at each other over this nonsense? How's that possible? How's that possible to see and hear and read some of the stuff in the Epstein files and see the Gaza pictures and West Bank and stuff like that, and then somebody was mean to you? Or they weren't rigid enough in their belief for you? I know people can understand that either too, about political beliefs. You got this capitalist, hardcore capitalist, Republican and Democrat, which is actually one party. It is. It is. I need you to get over that. No matter how liberal they seem like they are, or how libertarian they seem like they are, if they're still part of that system, it's kind of hollow. But when you have these other degrees of leftism, or, degrees of libertarianism, you can't split that up. You don't have enough people to be splitting this up. It's like it always make me mad when the third parties are having debates and tearing each other to pieces. Neither one of you are big enough for that to happen. You're kneecapping somebody that you need to take down the opposition. You should be building each other up, even if you do disagree. Yeah, libertarians and socialists, third-party socialists, should be building each other up. You're going to take down all the duopoly yourself? No, you're not. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to get 1%. Look at the last few elections. If they're against the duopoly, you need to build them up. So please get over the stupid, trivial nonsense. While there's pieces of children in pictures from Gaza, the Palestinians. You got this Iran war getting ready to start up. You got this Epstein stuff, some of the worst stuff you could ever read. You make Albert Fish gag. Can you stop the stupid little quarrels? That's it for now. And if this makes somebody mad, you know where to find me. Get over it. There's too much serious stuff going on for little quarrels and spats to be happening.